In a packed courtroom, Assistant District Attorney Adam Lally presented the opening statement in the trial of Karen Read, who faces charges related to the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Lally began by portraying John O'Keefe as a pillar of strength and compassion, highlighting his role as a guardian to his niece and nephew following the tragic loss of his sister and her husband. He emphasized O'Keefe's unwavering dedication to his family and his community in Canton. Transitioning to the events of January 28th, Lally depicted a typical suburban evening marked by family celebrations, juxtaposed against the impending blizzard that would soon engulf the town. Amidst the camaraderie at C.F. McCarthy's, O'Keefe was joined by Read. The evening took a tragic turn when O'Keefe was discovered in the snow outside a residence on Fairview Road early the next morning. Lally recounted the frantic efforts to save O'Keefe's life, underscoring Read's alleged involvement in the events leading up to his death. According to Lally, Read sought assistance from friends after an altercation with O'Keefe, ultimately leading them to his location. Allegedly, Read was the only one to notice O'Keefe and screamed for the vehicle to stop before rushing to his side. Highlighting Read's subsequent actions and inquiries, including a question about hypothermia survival time, Lally suggested a pattern of behavior indicative of guilt. He urged the jury to carefully weigh the evidence presented throughout the trial, confident it would establish Read's culpability. Defense attorney David Yannetti delivered a gripping opening statement in the trial of Karen Read, who stands accused of the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Yannetti wasted no time in asserting Read's innocence, claiming she was framed for a murder she did not commit. Yannetti's opening statement was a riveting portrayal of the events leading to O'Keefe's demise and the subsequent investigation that he alleges targeted Read unfairly. He argued that the case against Read is built on shaky ground, emphasizing discrepancies in the Commonwealth's timeline and evidence. Karen Read was framed, Yannetti declared emphatically, his words echoing through the courtroom. Quote, her car never struck John O'Keefe. She did not cause his death. And that means that somebody else did. Unquote. Yannetti painted a picture of a flawed investigation, pointing fingers at a well-known law enforcement family in Kent, the Alberts, who Yannetti alleges had close connections to the investigators. Yannetti reiterated that in this case, Karen Read was framed for a murder she did not commit. Throughout his address to the jury, Yannetti raised questions about the quality of evidence presented by the prosecution and criticized the investigation's alleged tunnel vision. He highlighted the suspicious behavior of Brian Albert, a Boston police officer, who allegedly failed to respond to the emergency on his own property. Furthermore, Yannetti accused lead investigator Trooper Michael Proctor of bias, suggesting Proctor predetermined the outcome of the case and failed to conduct a thorough investigation. He painted a picture of Proctor's alleged misconduct, including accessing Read's cell phone without proper authorization and expressing prejudicial sentiments to his friends. Yannetti asserted the fingerprints of bias are all over this case, urging the jury to scrutinize the prosecution's evidence in light of Proctor's alleged misconduct. Yannetti also presented evidence challenging the prosecution's narrative, including surveillance footage contradicting the timeline provided by investigators and eyewitness testimony suggesting Read's innocence. Central to Yannetti's argument was the role of Trooper Michael Proctor, the lead investigator, whom he accused of bias and mishandling evidence. Yannetti highlighted Proctor's alleged preconceived notions about Read and his failure to thoroughly investigate other leads, including the possibility of someone from the Albert family being involved. Throughout his statement, Yannetti presented a series of compelling arguments aimed at casting doubt on the prosecution's case. He questioned the timing of critical events, such as a Google search made by Jennifer McCabe, Brian Albert's sister-in-law, and the lack of evidence linking Read to O'Keefe's death. In a dramatic twist, Yannetti suggested that O'Keefe's injuries resembled those of an animal attack, pointing to the Albert family's German shepherd, Chloe, as a potential factor. He insinuated that the family's decision to rehome the dog shortly after the incident was suspicious and warranted further investigation. As Yannetti concluded his opening statement, he called on the jury to remain vigilant and impartial in evaluating the evidence presented throughout the trial. He urged them to scrutinize the Commonwealth's case meticulously, promising that the defense would uncover the truth and exonerate Read. What's your take on this case? Do you think the prosecution has crafted a compelling argument for conviction based on the details provided? Are you inclined to consider the defense's assertion of a cover-up, or do you see it as a strategic move to cast doubt or perhaps initiate discussions for a plea agreement? Share your perspective below.